Hello everyone, this is Chidam Kneba. Today we have Mark Ashmore from UK. Hi Mark.
Hiya, how you doing?
Good, how are you? So we met through the Facebook.
I'm good.
And I heard about your project and I fell in love with it the second I heard about it. I feel like that's a great avenue to increase dyslexia awareness around the world, which is something I'm really big on. So thank you so much for doing it. So for those who have not heard about you, maybe we can kind of summarize the project. So you are going to do an animation film and a book about dyslexia, and you're planning to call it Dyslexia and Creative Mindset. And you have currently on Kickstarter project that's going on. So I would like to spread the word as much as possible so that if anybody is interested in supporting you, they know how to get in touch with you or find the Kickstarter project. So would you like to maybe tell us about the project a little bit? How did you come up with the idea and what the project actually is and how you think you can help people around the world?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with dyslexia sort of later in life at the age of 23. And I guess I created a lot of coping mechanisms prior to that to sort of get me through life, as it were. And now I'm 36. I've got a successful film career, and I do a lot of work in social enterprises and social good. And I guess it was just a point of my life where I realized that, if it would be great if I could give back to. I didn't realize there was a dyslexia community because I kind of thought I was the only one. But I thought at 36 I want to kind of explore where I am in my life and if anyone else has got dyslexia. And as it turns out, having been part of this journey, is that it's actually it's a huge thing. It's bigger than I actually thought. So thus me starting a Kickstarter to explore and do a lot more.
Well, I felt that way too when my son was diagnosed. So I didn't really know anybody else around me that had dyslexia or their children had dyslexia. And when you look into it, it's actually 1 out of every 5th person has dyslexia, and it's really not well known compared to autism, where 1 in 68 people are actually diagnosed. Okay, so we do need to increase the awareness, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. There's been campaigns in the UK about it being sort of a hidden illness. Is probably not the right way of putting it, but it's a hidden thing that you can't see when you meet people, and it's only when they do certain tasks or actions that they've got coping mechanisms or a way around certain things, or it's a hidden thing, and I think that's probably why there isn't as much awareness, and also bad diagnoses as well of people saying it's one thing or it's this thing and getting confused about it. So yeah, if this project can help with awareness, then that'd be fantastic.
That's true. So how did you come up with the idea?
I've run a couple of Kickstarter campaigns before for social enterprises where, to give an example, we set up a coffee shop where the coffee shop would pay for a free co-working space for creatives in Manchester. And that was really successful. And what it taught me was that you could bring people who had a common need and wanted to create something together, but maybe not everybody in the group had the time or the resources to create something. But if there was a leader or a small group of people within that group that could take the project forward, they could make something happen. And so with my skills as a film producer and working in animation, I thought, well, if we could create a free tool, so an animation that inspired children and adults with who just discovered that their kids have got dyslexia, if we could give that away for free, because we know with the internet there's like a giant photocopy. Once you make one copy of something, you can distribute it millions and millions, endless amount of time, so everyone can use it. So if we could use the skills that I had and then bring in more skills and then mix it in with the Kickstarter, it meant that the Kickstarter kind of validates the idea. So if enough people back it, that it is going to be seen, hopefully, when it's made by millions of people, because it validates the idea. Because only Kickstarters that are successful mean they've got backers, if that makes sense. So it came about by it's a bold experiment, as well as being something that is needed in the dyslexia community. So why not make it ourselves?
That's great. And again, I did a Kickstarter project about 2 years ago. I had the same goal. Like, is this idea really valid? Am I the only one who needs it and sees the importance of it, or is there other people? And the community that I still am in touch with from, you know, back in the Kickstarter days is amazing. They've been such a great support, giving me ideas and, you know, helping me through things as things get tough, or when I need to spread the word. They're always there for me. So that's a great community that actually you're living into. Awesome. So how about the project? Go ahead, please.
No, it's how we've met as well. I mean, I'm here just to let your viewers know. I'm ironically, at the British Library in London, where I'm coming to do. I'm doing some research, and I've also doing all my Twitter and social media from here because I've got okay internet, and it's free to work from, and so that's where I am. So I'm somewhere in the British Library at the moment. So, and that's how we met with our online dyslexia community. And you're helping me, and there's been hundreds of other people reaching out and helping me, which is amazing. And you can't do this any other way. So
yeah, for me it is paid forward. Other people helped me when I first started, and I love your idea, as I said. So I'm hoping that we'll reach more people and this will be a success. I can't wait to see the final product. So let's talk about the product itself. So you are thinking about an animation movie as well as a book. So tell us about those.
So we'll talk about the animation first. So we're going to do the animation not in a language. So it won't be in English, it won't be in Spanish, it won't be in French. So it means that when somebody watches it anywhere in the world, they'll understand it. So I've given examples on the Kickstarter page of Disney's Fantasia is a wonderful example. It's a complete musical starring Mickey Mouse, yet the emotions and the storytelling completely comes across. You completely get what Disney was trying to create there. And from my generation, I don't know if you know Pingu, which is a funny little plasticine penguin character. Again, non-verbal, but you can get the story across and understand the emotions and the adventures and the drama through that. So the animation is not going to be in a language, but it will be universally accessible by everybody. And it'll be short, be around 10 minutes, and it'll be inspired in part by the stories that I'm getting online that people are emailing to me, as well as stories that will be in the book. Now, the book is kind of going to be like a graphic novel. It's going to be about 100 stories that are going to have been emailed to me, and we'll tell you the email address in a bit of how to do that. And I'm working with an editor, so the writing won't be on me because I'm not the best writer. We're working with an editor to edit these stories down so they're on a page, and then we're going to work with illustrators and artists and graphic designers and storytellers who use the visual medium, so artists, to interpret the story into a picture. So the basis becomes kind of bedtime reading for parents with dyslexic children, so they can tell these inspiring tales. There'll be some famous people in there, and there'll be people from our community and people from around the world sharing their stories of how they overcome obstacles or created things. They'll kind of a creative thing happening with them, and that's the book really. So combined, these will both be free resources. So the book you'll be able to download as a PDF. And the film will be on YouTube and Facebook and all that kind of thing. But through this journey, I've realized a PDF company approached me and said, you know, you could turn that PDF into an audio book. You can make it accessible into many different languages by doing that. And there's also lots of different ways of making sure that the PDF is universally accessible to people by using the right fonts and having magnifying glasses and all this digital stuff over the top of the PDF. So I guess the digital book of this project will be very exciting, and one of our backers is this PDF company, so they'll be on board from the start. Well, they're on board before we've even started, but when we start producing it, they'll be sitting me down and going, this is how you produce this and make this great. So this free PDF is really going to be the best PDF. We're not just going to get a Word document and put it together at the end. It's going to be one of the best PDFs you're going to be able to access. And I didn't know all this stuff. This has all come from working this way with the project. So that's exciting.
It's amazing how the resources come together when you create the idea. You put the thought out in the world and things start happening. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it's very serendipitous. Is that you just literally throw an idea out there, and then all this stuff comes back. And it just being me working, it's like how many of these ideas can I collect, and how much time do I spend on the ideas, and then talking to people on the Kickstarter. And this is I'm a bit run down at the moment. I've got a bit of a cold, and it's because I've been working really hard on this project. So yeah, we've got 1 week. I've been 8 weeks now working on this project. So for me, I'm coming up to the final hurdle, or the final straight, and fingers crossed we'll do it.
So you are actually 8 days left, I think, on the project. So you're almost there. And for those who haven't heard, we'll put the link in the bottom. And if you can also send me the email, unless you want to use the email that we've been corresponding on, I'll put it down as well on the YouTube. So you just look down and you can see, you can click on the link for the Kickstarter project. And if you want to be in touch with Mark, you can use the email address below. And we have 8 days left, and there's about just over $4,000 that he still needs to raise. Depending on which site you go to, sometimes it comes up in US dollars, sometimes in pounds. So for those who are new to Kickstarter, you can donate in your local currency, and it does convert automatically, so you don't have to worry about the pounds at all. So for those who are interested and still listening, would you like to maybe talk about yourself and how you really became a producer? What was your journey? You said you were diagnosed as an adult, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, so I've always had I guess, a wonderful imagination, and the town that I come from in Alfreton in Derbyshire has never really been a place where you can have dreams and things like that, but you would normally end up working in a factory or something like that, which a lot of my friends went and did. But because I had this imagination and stuff, I started traveling the world and started just working abroad and things like that, and just getting out of sort of the small town mentality. And during I guess that journey, I actually realized I read my first book at the age of 19. And it was a Steven Spielberg book. And prior to me doing all this traveling and things like that, and I explained it a little bit better in the Kickstarter video, my journey is basically I failed my A levels, I failed my GCSEs, and I kind of just scraped through. That gave me enough grades to. I had aspirations to obviously get out of the town and want to go be a filmmaker, but I didn't have the grades to do it because you can't get into university if you don't have 3 C's or passes or above. And if you want to get into a really good university, into a really good film course, you need like A's and B's, and it's really competitive. But I didn't have any of that stuff, none at all. So, I had to find my own way to university. And the reason why my A levels and GCSEs were so bad is because they were very academic. It was very written and test based. And so at the age of 19, reading my first book, doing a bit of traveling, I then went back to college and redid my A-level years and did a BTEC in media production, which was very practically based. It was very hands-on. And so this hands-on education, almost like a rebirth, I guess. And this rebirth happened for me is because I had the confidence which was instilled with me from my dad, because my dad says, look, whatever you do, go off and travel. You'll never fail because there's always be a roof over your head. There'll always be a roof over your head. And that meant that I was able to just go into the world and figure out what I wanted to do, knowing that if I failed, I had a bed and something to eat. And I think that's all you need in life. So if it wasn't for my dad doing that, I wouldn't have traveled. I wouldn't have maybe redone my college and I wouldn't be in this position right now where I'm talking to you and we're trying to do something, again, massively bold and ambitious. But I guess the point is, at the end of that 3 years of that sort of rebirth of going to college, is that I was able to, I was diagnosed with dyslexia because I was again trying to hand in written work. You had to do some writing, even though it was very practical. It was a theatre and a film course. And handing in that essay, I had it remarked about 10 times. And the reason I had 10 one-to-ones with my tutor is because I'd failed the first lot. So I made sure that I really wanted to make this thing work. And she basically did a dyslexia test with me and said, on a spectrum, you're kind of in the middle there. So you can read and write, although your writing's not that good, but your spelling's not very good. But you're using a computer, which is basically tapping combination of buttons, and you still get some of those combinations wrong. And then when you're spell checking it, you're not seeing the mistakes, but the computer's not saying there is any mistakes, because I was like, there's no red line there or anything. She's like, well, no, because it's the wrong kind of word for what you're trying to do, and this is the wrong way around, and this and this. And she's like, well, can't you see that? And I was like, well, no. And then she did the test, and the reason why is I have dyslexia, which actually figures out why I failed my GCSEs, my A-levels, and almost failed, could have failed my my degree, but I had an amazing tutor, and she helped me, and I got through it. I ended up getting a first-class honours degree. So that's the highest degree you can get in theatre. So I was doing something I was good at. I had people around me that helped me, and I ended up getting a first-class honours degree. Bearing in mind, I only got 4 GCSEs, not the 5 passes that you need to get into college. And my A-levels originally were C, Ds, and Es, and that was not good enough to get into university. But again, because my parents gave me that confidence, not to, if I failed, I had somewhere to live. And because that tutor took time out with me, we're now doing a Kickstarter campaign. We're now doing this thing. And it was down to those little life opportunities, those little moments, 5-minute moments. That's it. Can put people on a journey. And I'm hoping that's what this book and film's going to be about, is those 5-minute interventions. So, I just realized I was saying to you, it's probably about those little moments, isn't it?
That is very true. Well, it's an inspiring story, an amazing story. Thank you so much for sharing with us. So now the Kickstarter campaign, we have 8 more days. Please click on the link and donate. Even a few dollars will help, and we want as many backers as we can. Thank you so much for listening. Bye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay.